Grocery shopping will now be a bit easier for some Canadians as new labeling rules by Health Canada come into effect this weekend. Anna Stanislaw explains what changes are being made and how this will affect you.
The new food labeling regulations require packaged foods to identify any ingredients that cause allergic reactions. And for people like Barbara Cox, who has celiac disease where the small intestine cannot absorb gluten, these new rules will be an improvement.
When I was first diagnosed, it probably took me, instead of taking about an hour to do my grocery shopping, it probably took me 2 to 2.5 hours because you have to read every label and make sure that there's no gluten products in those labels at all.
11 kinds of allergens need to be listed, such as tree nuts, eggs, soybeans, and gluten, but will not apply to bakery, bulk, and deli foods.
They can either identify them in the list of food ingredients, or at the bottom it might say contains. And so it might say contains milk or gluten, and they're going to have to use easier terminology.
Now, terms such as casein will now simply be called milk. Health Canada allowed 18 months for food manufacturers to implement these new regulations and must be on all packaged products by tomorrow.
For Cox, it's a sigh of relief.
It's easier for people to pick up a product and just look at it and say, no, this one's not safe, because they're going to either have may contain, and if it says may contain, then you look at it and the words jump out at you right away.
The more information we can give to families that suffer from either a food allergy, a sulfite sensitivity, or celiac disease, the better, because they're trying to make healthy choices and safe choices for their families.
Anna Stanislaw, Newcap News.
The Terry Fox Run has been taking place in Canada for over 30 years. It's a day where people across the country pick up the torch left behind by the Canadian hero. To date, over $500 million has been raised from coast to coast for cancer research. Organizers here in Lloydminster are busy trying to get things ready for this year's run.
Well, last year we made $6,420 and with 100 participants, and one of the ladies that used to run this got around just about over 8,000. It would be nice to have 9,000.
Right now they are working on figuring out a new route for the 10K run, as well as finding volunteers to help out.
From last year due to different lifestyles this year, so I wish them all the luck, and I have a gentleman named Ian McIntyre. He's going to help organize the run and find volunteers for us.
Joy says they are looking for about 20 more volunteers.
We need a lot of water pits. Every 2.5 kilometers in a 10-kilometer run, you need water stations. And then we're doing a 5-kilometer run, so we'll need one there. So as people with trucks would help, and then they can just have on the tailgate. That's what we did last year, is run water stations in the back of trucks.
This year's run will be held on September 16th. If you'd like more information, you can call. Oh, we were supposed to put up a number there. We'll see if we can get that a little bit later for you in the cast. Well, the skies are starting to clear up a little bit. It's a little bit clouded over, and the long weekend is finally here, and it's looking promising. Here's Lloyd FM's Heather Clagus with what's happening.
The Lloydminster exhibition is gearing up for some big events this month. They've got the CKSA finals coming up later on. A cabaret will be a part of that, featuring Winona. But a week from today, they have got a legend coming to town. Bob Dylan will be here Friday, August the 10th for a special grandstand show. If you want to get your tickets, there are still some available. You can get them through Ticketmaster, but you don't want to miss this incredible show. Yes, Bob Dylan live at the Lloyd X next Friday night. It's a once-in-a-lifetime celebration this weekend. Head down to Chauvin as they celebrate their centennial. Things will really kick off tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. That's when they've got a huge parade that's going to wind through the town. They've got so many things planned as well, especially for the kids. They've got lots of different things planned for the kids. They'll have a car show. They're going to have beach volleyball. There will be horseshoes. There are so many different things that the entire family will enjoy. So check out Chauvin Centennial this weekend. Plus, they'll have a cool fireworks display too. This weekend, we've got a chance for you to win a copy of the new album from Dallas Smith. He's up and coming on the Canadian country music scene, and you could have a copy of his music, which includes the song If It Gets You Where You Want to Go, and all you have to do is email your name and daytime phone number to tvcontests@newcap.ca. We want to say thanks to John at Universal Music Canada for setting us up with the music. And a week tonight, you've got a chance to check out the PBR as it comes to Lashburn. It's the annual Brad Phipps Memorial Bull Riding. If you want to get your tickets, they're only $20 in advance. You can head to Shep Sports or Northern Factory Workwear. Well, whatever you choose to do this weekend, I hope you have a great one. I'm Heather Klegus, and that's what's happening.
Well, now that we're in an open market, people have begun to voice their thoughts on the recent changes. And one of our local MPs made a statement today to share his thoughts on the changes. Peter Quinlan explains.
After only 3 days in the new open market, politicians and farmers have already begun to speak out. In a statement released today, Vegreville-Wainwright MP Leon Benoit stated, "Ending the restrictive and unfair wheat board monopoly is something I have worked on for 40 years. Benoit's battle to end the wheat board's monopoly began in his university years and continued into his political life.
My very first speech in the House of Commons, half of it was talking about why it's important to eliminate the wheat board monopoly. So for me, this is the end of a long battle.
Benoit believes canola has remained strong over the years because competition has sustained the industry.
That's probably saved the agriculture grain sector in Western Canada. And had wheat not been handcuffed by the wheat board monopoly, I think wheat would be doing a lot better than it is.
And Benoit wasn't the only one speaking out today. Some farmers are upset by Prime Minister Stephen Harper's announcement Wednesday to pardon farmers convicted of illegally taking their grain across the border.
Essentially, the message he's giving is that it's okay if you don't like some law, just go ahead and break it, and then we'll pardon you afterwards if we like what you did. And that's interfering with the independence of the judiciary, and that's just not appropriate in a modern democratic society.
Benoit says the law should have never pursued these people in the first place.
All they were doing was performing acts of civil disobedience. People do that all the time to make their point. They never tried to sneak wheat across the border. Every single one of them announced they were going to do it.
And Benoit says it was a real blight in our justice system that these people were ever found guilty of a crime.
They had him in shackles, for God's sake, in court. I mean, he was a danger to no one, the most gentle man you could ever imagine. All he wanted was what we have given him and all Western farmers now, which is the right to market their grain, which is their property, in the way they see fit.
But the Friends of the Canadian Wheat Board say they don't see a big problem with these non-violent protests either, but a certain level of respect must be shown for people who enforce our laws.
When you start intimidating customs officers and taking property out of impound lots over the objections of unarmed, that they were unarmed at that time, unarmed customs officers, that kind of crosses a line.
Despite present controversial issues, the only consensus being reached right now is that there's nothing to do but look forward.
The Prime Minister is going to do what he has chosen to do, and that's just the way of it.
I still farm, and I have interest in farms, and from that point of view, too, it's just extremely important to me, and I'm just looking forward to this next crop year.
Peter Quinlan, Newcap News.